As Peter continues to develop his message that believers must stand firm in the grace of God while sharing the sufferings of Christ in persecution and temptation, he will speak to specific relationships. In verse 18, he says, "The household servants must be submissive to your masters with all respect." It's not enough to just submit to them or obey them, but you must do it respectfully, not only to those who are good and gentle, but also to those who are crooked or morally perverse. This, of course, was very common, that the great majority of people in the Roman Empire were servants or slaves or household slaves. Verse 19, "For this is favorable if, for the sake of conscience towards God, a person endures affliction while suffering unjustly." And we will suffer unjustly. In America, at least in Western culture today, we have rights. But in the days of the Roman culture, the New Testament, people did not have many rights at all. Verse 20, understand this: what status is there if, when sinning you are beaten, you endure it, but if when doing good things and experiencing suffering, you patiently endure it? This receives favor with God. Paul says, or Peter says, let me elaborate further. You have been called for this purpose, since Messiah also suffered on your behalf, leaving you an example to follow in his steps. And certainly Jesus was an example of unjust suffering. All his suffering was unjust. Verse 22, speaking of Jesus, who committed no sin, nor was any deceit found in his mouth. And while being reviled, he did not revile in return. While suffering, he did not threaten in return, but was entrusting himself to the one who judges righteously. And he himself bore our sins in his body on the cross, with the purpose result that we would die to sin and to live righteousness. For by his welts, the welts that came from what is traditionally called the cat of nine tails, the whip that had little bits of sharp edges or sharp objects on it in order to rip away the flesh. For by his welts, you and I were healed. For you were straying like sheep, dumb, lost sheep, but now you are returned to the shepherd and the guardian of your lives. And Peter emphasized that over and over again, that God guards our lives, even in the midst of unjust sufferings.